Hey there, how's it going? We're a little delayed this morning, so I think we've got everything set up and going the way it should be, though, now. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. And if you're joining today, go ahead and, if you don't mind, let me know if you can hear me over on Facebook or YouTube. That would be great. All right. So I'm going to continue. We're reaching this spot where we could keep going with a grisaille method, or we could um, start adding color. But my contention is that if you stay with the grisaille monochrome kind of look longer, or as long as you can, then you're going to do yourself a lot of favors by doing that. You're going to make everything easier in the long run. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick with this and refine it a little bit. It's going to make it a little smoother. I want to zoom in just a little bit and work on a few more details. Let me see if I can move my camera out of the way while we do that. I think I'll just do that. And let me zoom in here for you. So, yeah, the more we work on it right now, better off we're going to be. Okay, so let me take a look here. Now that we have, this structure in place, that I can come back in here and refine it, but I also want to start judging these values, and I want to start saying to myself, okay, what now out of this structure is the darkest, and should it be that dark? And then just start gauging it from there and saying, okay, if this area, for example, is the darkest, then what other area in the drawing right now should be this value? And I want to look around and make that determination. And so the pupils actually should be that value. They should be at least as dark as the darkest value, right? So I also want to kind of clean them up if we're getting anything out of proportion right now, if we're losing our boundary areas for certain features, then this is another thing you want to do right now at this point in the drawing process. Don't wait. Do it as soon as you notice it. So yes, the pupils should be as dark as any other spot that we would determine to be like a 10, if you're thinking of a 1 through 10 value scale, right? Okay, so I want this angle, so I want this entire curve to follow also the outside curve of the edge of the iris, right? So I want to look at that. I want to judge that. I want the eyelashes, obviously. They need to be nearly as dark as the pupil. And in this case, for this reference, that's exactly what I'm looking at. I'm looking at something that is that dark. Sometimes that's a good thing to do, is just lay it beside the drawing and start determining what should be that dark. And we're using something that is pretty dramatic as far as value is concerned because we're going extremely dark over here. Um, I may not go quite as dark as that right here on this part of the reference, down there by the mouth. But I probably will go as dark as I see it right here on the edge of that nostril. Maybe not down here. Right over there, though, I do want that to be probably as dark as my darkest value. All right. Let me see if I can pull my... let's see here. That's probably enough. I wanted to see if I could pull my other reference over there, but I think that would probably work just fine. So I'm going to come back up here to the eyes and just start redefining the eyes or making sure that everything is looking in balance at this point. I want to pay attention to these intervals. I want it to be darker right over here near the tear duct. And then as it fades away from the tear duct, moves over towards the iris, it's going to be a lighter value. So I want to make sure that illusion is there right now at the very beginning. Same way up here, even if I don't see this a whole lot in the reference, I can still do this. I can make it darker on top and then lighter down here. Same way over here, that outer corner, make it darker over there, and then gradually increasing or decreasing rather my pressure to the pencil to make it lighter. Hope you guys are having a great morning. If you're over on YouTube or Facebook, if you could let me know if you're able to hear me, that would be fantastic. Okay, that's a little darker than what I wanted actually. So I'll go ahead and take a little bit of that off. So it just sort of stains the paper. Right there. If I put it on a little darker than what I need and then I take it off, I'm going to be able to create a smoother gradation. And sometimes that's counterintuitive to what we think when we first start drawing or using colored pencil. We think that we should just be very, very timid and careful at the very beginning, the entire time, and sometimes that tightening up and just getting so scared of what's going on, it's difficult, to create the gradation when we do that. Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks, Renee and Diane. So I'm guessing you can hear me, so that's a good thing. Hey, welcome, Diane, if this is your first time. Awesome. Appreciate you being here. All right. Okay, now that's probably enough of the gradation right there. And again, I'm going to remove a little bit of that. Now, the more that I do this, the more uh, pigment that I put down and take off, this process of doing this, the more stained the paper is going to be in this area. And the easier the gradation is going to appear, the more simple it becomes to create that gradation. And why is that? Because you're building up something on the surface of the paper that otherwise it's difficult to get. And it's just building up this layer. It's a very, very thin layer, but it's there nonetheless. All right, so that's pretty good. That's what I was after. That's what I'm wanting. But it builds it up, and so then when you go back on top with subsequent layers, it the pencil likes that. It likes that surface that you're creating. All right, so those of you that may be watching live right now, or maybe looking at the replay, we are in the. Oh man, I'd have to go back and find out what day we're on, but we're in the pre-sale of the Face Value launch. So we started that several days ago, and during the pre-sale, um, the course is on sale. So it's $200 off for the Sharpened Artist Academy flagship course called Face Value. And it will be on pre-sale until the 26th. So that's Monday the 26th. So that's this coming Monday. And I'm so excited about it. We've already got, I believe it's 5, it might be more than that, new students who have signed up. So I'm so excited about their new art journey. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I love teaching new students and going through the material with them. And they, of course, get the benefit of being able to interact with other students who have been in the program for a while, which is a lot of fun. You get to learn from students who have already been drawing for a while. Now, in some cases, they've only been drawing for like a year, maybe 2 years at the most, or maybe 3 inside the program. And that's exciting, though, that to be able to see the progress that many make when they're out there working in portraiture and applying what they know to colored pencil portraits. But yeah, we've got several days left of the pre-sale, and then we will enter into open cart after that. Won't be on sale anymore, and the bonuses will not be available, but we'll still be taking students during that time until we get to 20 students, and that may happen before the open cart date on the 26th. But it's just such a fun time of the year to do this. Every year when we accept a new batch of 20 students, just a lot of fun. Okay, so right here at the edge of the nostril, I want this to be darker right there. I want this area down here, obviously right here, this area to be lighter. But I even want it to be lighter right here. So right up here at the edge, it's going to be darker. It's going to fade into a lighter value very gradually. Same way over here. It's going to be darker right there and then fade into that lighter value. I don't want it to be all just a static value. Don't want it to be one value. That would destroy that movement that I want, where I'm saying that this area back here is farther away than this particular edge right up here. So that's the illusion that we're looking for. This needs to be a little bit darker all the way out here, and then I can darken up this area a little bit more. So that's what we're after. That's what we're doing with the Grizzeye method. Is we're working on making much of this very dark and bringing it up to the same dark value as other planes in these features. And then we're going back to the darker planes and increasing the value over there again. Hey, good morning, Pam. Good to see you out here. Pam is over there on YouTube Live. Glad you could join us. Okay, so now I'll just go all the way around. I'll extend this all the way around. And I'll move this up just a little tiny bit. And now that I'm over here, I can add a little bit of value right here at the tip of the nose as well. Just a little bit, not a lot. If I start to get impatient and I start to use faster strokes on my pencil, just by way of reminder, I'm on Stonehenge paper. So I don't want to go real fast with my strokes. I got to get a drink of water. Okay. Starting to lose that voice a little bit here. Okay. But if I take my time and build that up gradually, then I'm going to have a more even distribution of the pigment. And now I can reevaluate and look at it and say, okay, if that's even enough now, I can go back to my darkest areas. But I've got a line right here that I want to get rid of before I do that. Right in there. Okay, so now that's a little bit lighter than what I wanted. So I'll come back in there and darken that up again. Very light pressure. Okay. Now I'll come back over here and I'll say this area can be slightly darker now. This whole area right here. It represents a plane in the nose that's starting to turn, starting to go up under or down under, I guess I should say, and closer to the nostril. There's a little bit of reflected light, comes back up here and hits this plane underneath the nose that's connected to where the nostril is. And so the way I can make that appear to be lighter is by darkening this area that's in between. So if this is turning right here, then this area is in between. So I'll darken it all the way over here. There's a little bit of an edge right out here, right next to where the light is hitting the nose. And then there's this little swoosh right here, a little curve right in there that appears to be darker often. And it's doing it right now in this particular lighting situation. So I can make that darker right there. It's not going on real even. So take my kneaded eraser and get rid of that little speck of pigment. And it doesn't take but just a fraction of a second. Get rid of that. It's easy to do. It's even easier to um, ignore it and to become, just complacent with certain things like that. But I would encourage you to take just a moment and get rid of pigment that starts to build up in unwanted areas. Just be a little picky about certain things like that in your shadows when you are drawing in this way, when you're doing this grisaille method, because later on, you won't have to worry about it so much when you're applying color, that is. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so now after I've built that up, you notice now that all of this area out here is much lighter. This reflected light appears to be lighter because it's lighter than this value. So we judge it relative to values that surround it. Now I'm going to darken it up just a little bit more. I don't want it to compete with the lighter values on the lit side of the face. All right. Now I want to move back over here, and there's a little tiny, see if this will show up on camera. I'm not sure that it will. This area right here, over the nostril, rather, up under the nose, right there. If this were black and white, we'd probably be able to see it easier. This is not white. This is a darker value than up here. So this whole area is darker than this area. So I can depict that, and it will give me a curve where I need it to be over here. So before I get over there, I need to make sure that there's a definite edge over here to this shadow shape. And then as I approach that really small edge right there, all I need is a little bit of pigment in there, not much. I've got light coming in this direction, so it's going to hit right over here. So I can leave that free from any pigment at all on that edge if I wanted to, and that would be very logical. It would work just fine. So what I may do again then is darken this whole area up and then use my kneaded eraser to remove part of it. I love using the kneaded eraser to, in essence, draw with. It's just one of the best tools we have. There we go. Get rid of some of that. And especially right there at that edge. And then right up here, the light is hitting that edge of the nose. Right there. Okay. But I want to remove some of this. Went on a little bit too dark, and that's fine. Come back over here. This is going to be slightly darker right in here. And then I'll move away from that area. Now, if it's too tiny, I may not be able to depict it very well when we're using just one color. And so I can rely on different skin tones, colors that actually will give us more information, give us more detail. So later on, when we start applying color to our grisaille map, then it will start making more sense, and it will have a little more information, and we'll be able to actually see that curve maybe a little bit clearer. I'm going to go on this side of the nose where that cheek is, add a little more value over here. It's another area right here that is within the lit side of the face. So most of the light source is hitting this side. Pardon me. So because of that, I'm going to add pigment, and then I will, you guessed it, I will take it off. But I'm using a very, very light touch right now. Extremely light touch. So good question, Pam. And Pam, thanks for joining us over there on Facebook Live. She's asking a good question. She says, "Is Stonehenge more forgiving when erasing?" If you're using, I guess I turned my camera off. Let me go back on camera here. If I'm talking, there we go. If you're using a very, very light touch like this, I hope I'm not in the way of the drawing. No, it doesn't look like it. If you're using a very light touch like this, then Stonehenge is forgiving. I wouldn't say that it's more forgiving, though. It has to be treated just so in certain ways, you know. And one of those techniques that I use is an extremely light touch, barely, you know, touching the surface with an incredibly sharp pencil. If you use that technique, you're going to be able to remove what you're putting down um, to a large degree and for many, many layers. Now, there are other techniques on Stonehenge that work just fine. And, you know, I'm friends with many colored pencil artists that don't use this particular technique, and they do a wonderful job of creating artwork on this surface. So this is one technique of many, you know, that you could use, and so you could use more firm pressure if you wanted to, if it fits your personality and your temperament and that kind of thing. You could do that, and nothing wrong with that. I like to talk about different methods and techniques, and because what I try to do is get to the end result. The way that you get to the end result can vary. The end result is a particular look, so it's not a particular process, right? But for this process, yes. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but if I use a very light touch, then I'm going to be able to have more flexibility when I put my pencil down. I'm going to be able to erase it. Your answer was in there somewhere, Pam, I hope. Let me know if it wasn't. All right, let's see here. Let me go back. Back down here. And I want to slowly, gradually increase this value right in here. And then we're going to call it a morning here. We're not going to spend a real long time this morning on this. I've extended the challenge, this particular portrait challenge, to include April as well, since many told me they were working on this and they hadn't had a chance to get very far along. So I totally get that, especially with the workshop that most of us were involved in. That was so much fun doing that workshop about a week and a half ago. So, yeah. So Pam, it is about the light touch on Stonehenge paper. That's the technique that I like to use and employ. Um, what I was alluding to is, yeah, you're going to have more flexibility with being able to erase on Stonehenge if you use a light touch. If I'm on pastel mat, I don't have to use that extremely light touch when I put my application layers down. Now I can draw in the same way, but all I'm saying is I don't have to. I can vary that, and I can use um, more firm pressure. I can apply more pressure to the point of the pencil. So I hope that makes sense. But I do know artists that don't draw in this way on Stonehenge. They just start out using pretty firm pressure right away. So that is possible. So it's not the only way to draw, I guess is my point. Okay. I am going to wrap things up here. I really like, let me see if I can zoom in here for you. I want you to see, let me take my camera off then. I want you to see the texture right here. This is what we're looking for. Right in here. Okay, Pam asked, pardon me, which do you prefer? I wish I was better at hitting that mute button when I start coughing. Sorry about that. Um, which do I prefer? Oh, it's such a tough question here, Pam. I like both surfaces. I love them both. Um, Sometimes, if I just want to build something up slowly and create so many different gradations and a dynamic look to the skin tone, you just can't get that as much, in my opinion, on any other paper but Stonehenge. Now, that's my opinion. If I want to go fast and I want to create something super fast and I want to get the work done, then I'm not going to choose Stonehenge. I'm probably going to choose a sanded paper like UArt sanded paper, or I'm going to choose Pastel Mad by Clairefontaine because it's so quick. Okay. Hopefully you can see that texture. That texture right there, that's what we're after. That's what we're looking for, even in the lit side of the face. And so if there's anything over here that starts to build up and create something that is uneven, even as small as it might be, and I want to get rid of that right now if I can. If I can't, that's okay. No paper is perfect. There's no perfection on the surface of every single paper. When I get a sheet of Stonehenge out, same way with pastel mat or UArt, any paper, I don't care what it is, you are going to find once in a while tiny, tiny imperfections once in a while when you're getting this close and personal with the paper. And so because of that, I'm going to have to go in here and very carefully try to wrestle with the paper, if I can, Sometimes I can't remove it. I can't get rid of something, some imperfection. And so I just keep building up layers and it will disappear when I do that. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream this morning. This has been a lot of fun. And thanks for joining me, even though we started a little bit late. And I will see you next week on this. But we are also going to be continuing our drawing on my self-portrait. So look for that. We'll be doing that in the evenings. And also, I just want to put out a reminder again, if you're interested at all in the face value course, that sale is still going on. So if you're interested in joining us over there, we'd love to have you. And we will talk to you soon. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.